What is mom talk?
I think
What
it,
is
it
that?
was literally, from my understanding, it was just like this group of women that were like, we're moms and we TikTok and we do like all the trendy dances and stuff, and they want to be influencers. And so they realized there was like power in numbers, that if like one was super popular, then like they could just like pull from each other's groups and stuff, and they get like brand deals and stuff. But they were hashtag mom talk. I don't know. You think as an influencer I would know this shit. I don't care.
A lot of season 2 too was like, well, you said that you should get the biggest brand deals. Like, why do you think you should get the biggest brand deals? And then one of the other ones was like, well, now my husband in a year makes what I make on one brand deal. So he's like hashtag stay at home dad. Like, okay.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of your weekly therapy podcast. My name is Tell Williams, or Mr. Williams, if you follow me on social media. I'm a social worker, a teacher, a therapist, and over here we have...
I'm Anne-Marie DiPietro, and I'm still just a nurse practitioner.
And a podcast host.
Apparently.
How are you?
Oh, you know, it's just one of those weeks.
It is one of the... It's only Wednesday morning.
I don't know how. You know, when like everything is going wrong and you like hate everything, you just like hyper focus on like a couple things you hate so much, and they like make you enraged.
100%.
Like that's how I feel about Karen Reed this week.
Oh my God,
I
Karen Reed
can't
case.
let it go. Like it has nothing. There's so many things to legitimately be upset about, but I keep focusing on how much it pisses me off that she goes up for sidebar, like with the attorneys, and then leaves the courthouse and makes a statement every day.
Karen Reed.
Yes.
Her name's Karen.
Yes. Like
Okay.
stop being a Karen.
I am still gooped that, like, again, I have not like sat there and gone down the rabbit hole of this case, because every time I do, I'm like, this is just so weird.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's given very, this, you're gonna be like, wait, what? It's given very like Amber Heard and what's his name?
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp. Because I'm like, maybe they're both shitty people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
No, for real.
You know, so
I really think that's the vibe.
because I was like, I literally was so gooped when you were like, yeah, she definitely did it. I'm like, no one thinks Karen Reed did it. And then I'm like looking at it, I'm like, maybe they're all bad people. And now I'm thinking maybe they all like accidentally killed him. And now they're just like trying to, like, they're all against her and vice versa.
But like also, since when is it okay to like not remember whether you hit your boyfriend or not? Like that, I mean, maybe you didn't, ma'am, but like, why were you so drunk that you don't remember?
Here's the thing. I've been pretty wasted. I'm talking like blackout. And if something bad happens, I mean, obviously you're not sobered up, but it sobers you up to the, you know what I mean? Like, how do you not recall?
I mean, I don't get in the car when I'm blackout drunk. So, like, you know, hard to say. But, like, at 9:30 a.m., her BAC was still above the legal limit.
Like, sister girlfriend was, like, partying.
Yeah, like she, like, forgot. She went to that house. So, all I'm saying is, like, maybe, like, show a little more, you know.
Integrity.
Yeah,
you know,
something.
don't be driving.
Or, like, don't be standing on the courthouse steps, like blasting the prosecution. Like, ma'am, you were very drunk.
Yeah.
Like, you literally were like, could I have hit him? Could I have hit him? Could I have hit him? Like, if that's a question, I feel as if we should be demonstrating a little more humility.
Did she get a DUI?
No.
She got nothing?
No. I mean, she was charged with what she's charged with, but, like, DUI is not, like, one of the counts.
You think that they would have, like, thrown that in.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, at the very least, mama.
Point,
like, they're like, at this point, it's a wash.
You know, I mean, right.
My God.
Right. Just, like, call it.
Just call it what it is.
I mean, to be honest, there is a lot of reasonable doubt, which is what sucks about the whole thing. And like you said, I think it is, like, one of those cases where just, like, everyone involved is shitty.
Yeah.
Like, the cops were shitty. The defense team is shitty.
Everyone's like just super shady with it. It makes me think that literally like they all were involved, and then it's like one group pinning it. You know what I mean? Like I just think everyone was involved in it.
I don't know who was involved. All I know is like I just have so much rage about it. Because I keep thinking like sister girlfriend, I feel like you should maybe like watch the O.J. Simpson trial, like watch Casey Anthony,
Right.
learn from these people who committed crimes and got away with it.
Yeah.
And like they weren't, prostrating on the steps
Yeah.
of the courthouse every day. If Casey Anthony wasn't like, oh, today my attorney destroyed the witness. We were like, Casey Anthony, do you have a voice?
Casey Anthony.
Oh, tell everyone about Casey Anthony.
Oh my God. Okay, guys,
Tell has made it.
I was so. I don't know if you guys know who Leah Saldana is.
No, who's that?
She's the Disney princess. She was the voice of both Princess Jasmine and Mulan. Obsessed. And she was Miss Saigon and in the original Cast Les Mis and all these things, right?
Okay.
And she followed me on social media. I felt like I arrived. Like that was when I was like, a Disney princess follows you. You've arrived,
Yes.
And then I was smacked. I made a TikTok 2 months ago, a long time ago, stitching Casey Anthony, who decided to get her ass on TikTok. And I was like, baby, we don't need you. Because she was like, I'm here to support the LGBT. No, we don't need that. Girl, we're okay. We'll struggle. We'll struggle if that's what it means. I was gooped and gagged because I was watching one of the, I think his name's Ray William something. He comes, he like does all these like animated weird crime, like true crime stuff. And he did one Casey Anthony. I'm like, I don't know this story, but I'll watch it anyways. And then at the bottom of it, there was a Casey Anthony comes to TikTok. And I clicked on that. And then it said follow back. And I was like, what the fuck? And I clicked on, I'm like, why does Casey Anthony, top mom, follow me? And then I was like, I feel like I just need to block her. Because it just, it grosses me out so much. She only follows like 40 people.
You've made it.
It grossed me out. I'm like, girl, why are you following people who are making fun of you?
Maybe she would give us an exclusive.
I would rather, I don't even know. I don't know. She grosses me out.
I feel like we could have an "if I did it" moment
with OJ. Oh my God! When I texted you that and you said the devil is dancing to, I was pissing my pants. So I was like, "This
our
is
girl Nancy Grace."
Oh my! That's who we need to have a one-on-one. Big Nancy, listen.
We got to stitch in that clip. The devil is dancing tonight.
There's a few times I've been like grossed out by someone who follows me, and I'm like, girl. Not only were you gross before, but like you can't be following people who fucking hate you, who talk shit about you. Like that cycle.
I mean, but who's not talking shit about Casey Anthony? You know what I mean?
It's like the one thing that people can agree on.
I'm gonna be honest with you though. I think if the Casey Anthony thing happened now, because back then that was 2011, right? So like social media was like not really much of a thing. Like maybe Facebook, right? Like I don't even think Instagram was a thing then, right? Yeah. I think that there would be a free Casey Anthony group, like there is a free Karen Reed group. I think
there's
like
always
that kind of thing. There's like that faction of people that have to like band together around.
They're like, oh, I have to be the opposite. So
right.
We were okay. So the other day I was talking about TV, and I was like, we're quite literally living simultaneously like a real Handmaid's Tale, a real life Hunger Games. And then I don't know why and what possessed me because I have actually been like, and I think I've made like TikToks about like, I'm not supporting this TV show gross. But like I went to a conference the other day and we talked about a lot of politics. We talked about trad wives. Is that what it's called?
Trad
and
wives.
I was like, okay. And then I think like it was like Elizabeth Warren was there, all these like politicians, Pete Buttigieg, and they're talking about trad wives. And then they said, like that one TV show, the Mormon Wives one. And I'm like, don't be talking about my Real Housewives of Salt Lake City because I'll fight for those girls. I love them.
Love them.
They were talking about the secret lives of Mormon wives.
Yes.
I started watching it, and so today we're talking about the mental health behind the secret life of Mormon wives. With the caveat, Anne Marie has watched both seasons.
Yes.
I've only watched season 1. What?
Did you finish season 1?
I think so.
Did you get to the Vegas?
That's where I'm at.
Okay. So you saw the Vegas going to Chippendale stuff? Okay.
So if you don't know the real lives, the secret lives of Mormon wives, imagine if you watched The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Love the show, right?
Love.
And it's like the B team of influencers trying to put that show on.
C team.
And with the caveat that like Bravo vets their people very well. And I don't know that Hulu/Disney does the same. First of all, I know it's like a haha giggle, and I love me a lavender marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about it all the time. Marry yourself a gay man.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies, do it. You'll love it. The issue is a lavender marriage is when all parties know it's a lavender marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching this, and I thought to myself, all these husbands have a little sugar in the tank. RuPaul Spectrum, you know, the Liberace party. You cannot convince me that that man gets there, full head of frosted highlights, and is like, me and my wife, good? You're the gay best friend that helped her move?
Mm-hmm. Nope.
And it just progresses
We're
every
talking
time
about
we meet.
Mormons, Tell. Why does this shock you?
Well, because then, so I'm sitting there and I'm investigating, and everyone's like, well, probably, because some people were like, yeah, they're definitely gay, and then someone was like, we need to be more respectful. A lot of these men, and I genuinely am not making fun of them. It's just shocking to me from a mental health standpoint of like, just be gay.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, well, a lot of them have SSA, and I was like, what do you mean has SSA? Is that a disease I don't know about? Like same-sex attraction.
Oh, right.
And so it's okay to be same-sex attracted. You just have to like, get married still and just like deal with it.
Mm-hmm. That's the Mormon stance.
It's holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't imagine the amount of mental health, depression, anxiety, what that does to a family. Because again, like it is okay to consensually go into it and be like not hiding that part of you, but to not even be like, oh yeah, I'm gay.
Mm-hmm. You know what my problem is? It's like they'll say on the show, and this isn't just in Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. This happens in Salt Lake City too, and it also pisses me off in Salt Lake City when they're like, we're trying to open the conversation and break the stereotype and change things and whatever. Like, you are not changing the Mormon faith.
Right.
Like, they are not going to love the gays. They're not going to support the gays.
Right.
They're not going to support you stripping.
Yeah.
Not that any of them strip, but you know, they're never going to be sex positive. They're not going to support you going to see the
You can't
Chippendales.
be.
They're not going to support you having a sex toy party.
Yeah.
Like, you can be, but then you are separate.
Correct. And
from the traditional faith.
Right. And it's like, I mean, mamas, if it took them that long to be not even anti-racist, to not be, well, they are still racist, to just let black people in the church, I guess I should say.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting there like watching it, and I'm like, and we can say it's not just Mormonism; it's with any religion or you know, and again, some good, some not us to decipher good and bad, but like the amount of like depression or anxiety that these people have over like what will the church, like I make the joke all the time, who's going to tell the church? Like what will the church think? But it's like I could not live my day-to-day life over very minuscule things too, like very, very small things. And I'm like, are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I don't know, that's like, to me, it's almost sad too, because it's like you put it on the TV show, will not get them to like you more.
Right.
Like when you put on the TV show and showing that like you can 100% be multifaceted, but that doesn't mean your religion will be.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can be fun, crazy, wild, party time girl and be a good human, but that doesn't mean the church is gonna be okay with it because you did it on TV and people like it made it look cool. Like they're still gonna have that stance. Like I think we found that out I think that's why I loved Real Housewives, because they were like Heather Gay was like, they're never gonna okay this.
Right.
Like, you know, she talks about it a lot. Like, there's not a idea of like a more liberal, less conservative church that you go to and you can wear whatever you want. Like, what church are you going to? That's not
right.
And it's a very real conversation. Again, you can be multifaceted and be like, this is a part of me and this is a part of me, and I take what I need from church, and I know that that the church won't accept this and this, but that's okay because that's who I am no matter what.
Her name just escaped me. The one that calls herself like a new age Mormon, and Heather's
Lisa?
always like Lisa. Yeah. And Heather's always like that's not a thing. Like, here's my thing. Like, and Lisa's being like, you know, like, I love the gays, I support the gays, like they're my people, blah blah blah. Like, that's great. Like, we'll take that, right? But like, I don't know, either the church wants to keep the 10% of that their family's earnings,
right?
Or like Lisa's not as much a part of the church as she
Mm-hmm.
says she is. But like, from my interpretation, from everything I've known about Mormonism, like it is one of those faiths where like people go back and report like this is what this person's doing,
Yeah.
and they'll be like, yeah, bye. You
It's-
can't do that.
I think that was like so even the first episode alone, right? I'm watching it. I'm like, okay, like again, like, and I guess I don't even know what possessed me to start watching it. And
I texted you about it, remember?
you did, and I was like, oh yeah, because I was like, hey, would it be like so hard to watch this at one time? Because they're not like super long episodes. But the first episode, we're introduced to all the girls, and if you haven't watched it, great. So then we're gonna gently talk about it.
Yeah.
Within the first episode, I was like, I had notes with time marks because I was like, we're introduced to all the girls who very much look all alike. It's all like that balayage, like ombre,
And they're all very
blondish brown
young.
hair. They're all very young, and they're talking about like their lives and Mormonism. And the first time I was gooped was Taylor, like essentially mom talk. So I don't know if you guys remember the huge. There's a mom talk group. I never saw mom talk until the drama came out about like they were swingers.
Yeah.
And Taylor's divorced, but now she's dating this guy named oh God, what's his
Dakota.
Dakota. I was gonna say Braxton because it just sounds like yeah.
Same thing.
And she boldface says, Dakota looks like Jake Gyllenhaal. And I said, Jake Gyllenhaal where? Because not in the face, not in the hair, not in the body. Where does he look like Jake Gyllenhaal? Is it
Her
Jake?
head.
Is it Jake Gyllenhaal's like second cousin that was adopted twice removed that
Ben
they just
Affleck's
found?
cousin.
Ben
Don't you
Affleck's cousin
forget.
is in there. His actual second cousin.
Oh no, that comes out in season 2. That was a lie.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
That's a lie.
I love that.
Mhm.
Shaki hates it when I say this, and then she's like,
Lie.
"But we're also Ben Affleck."
Lies.
I was like, "She's a liar."
Lie.
I knew it.
Mhm.
But we're introduced to Dakota, and this is like where this idea of like we get a little Handmaid's Tale like, because him and Taylor get together,
Mhm.
and he is like not just with her, but with a bunch of different women.
Mhm.
Taylor gets pregnant with his baby,
Mhm.
and then it's like this thing of her like refusing to marry him, like she's like no, and him like you have to commit to me.
Mhm.
While he's been cheating on her like the whole time.
Mhm.
I'm so confused by the amount of like gaslighting and toxic relationships that are showcased in this show,
Mhm.
and people aren't like aggressively calling it out as much as I feel like they should be.
No. Yeah, it's first of all, I don't understand what mom talk is. Is it just like these moms were doing dances on TikTok? Is that what this was?
I believe so.
Okay.
I don't think it like I literally just thought like how do you claim a hashtag?
Because like hearing the word mom talk like makes my blood run cold,
Yeah.
especially for season 2, because like basically all of season 2 is like Whitney trying to get back into mom talk, and one of the original swingers, now I can't remember what her name was. I don't know. She tries to come back and like get back into mom talk, and it's like, are they going to get voted back into? What is mom talk?
I think
What
it,
is
it
that?
was literally, from my understanding, it was just like this group of women that were like, we're moms and we TikTok and we do like all the trendy dances and stuff, and they want to be influencers. And so they realized there's like power in numbers, that if like one was super popular, then like they could just like pull from each other's groups and stuff, and they get like brand deals and stuff. But they were hashtag mom talk. I don't know. You think as an influencer I would know this shit. I don't care.
A lot of season 2 too was like, well, you said that you should get the biggest brand deals. Like, why do you think you should get the biggest brand deals? And then one of the other ones was like, well, now my husband in a year makes what I make on one brand deal. So he's like hashtag stay at home dad. Like, okay. And then it's the other one was like, oh, well, I think I'm more of the leader of mom talk than you are. Like going back. And I'm like, at the end of the day, like, what are we getting brand deals for? Number one.
Yeah.
And number two, like this was supposed to be some like we're women supporting women, whatever. Like this is women breaking down women.
And I think like there's so much of it that's like I don't know that all. I think they all like did a TV show or maybe even just mom talk to begin with and didn't really know what they were wanting out of it. Like each person, 'cause they're like, she's using us, and she's just in mom talk for the money. I'm like, am I dumb? Like I thought that's what everyone was there for, because they're like, is she even friends with us? Baby, you don't have to, like, we're lucky we're friends and work together, but like, you don't have to be friends with the people you work with. And the stuff that they say to each other, I'm like, that is not is not uplifting. Like, I don't, like, in season 1, Whitney is like in the laundry room at a girls' trip, hysterical. And I don't care like, how shitty someone is. When they're like, can you give me space? I'm not okay right now. Give the person space. But instead, they go like vultures and keep attacking. I'm like, at what point are you, like, Whitney, why are you trying to go back into that? That's wild.
Well, in season 2, what's her name? The one that's married to the non-Ben Affleck cousin?
There's another cousin.
No. The Ben Affleck's cousin
Jess.
is not actually his cousin.
Jess?
No. Jen.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So Jen is pregnant
Okay.
again, and starts to have like pretty severe depression.
Oh.
And so they stop filming with her. They like put this thing on the TV that's like out of respect for her mental health. Like we stop filming, whatever. A few episodes later, they show the rest of the women like looking at a video from Jen crying, like explaining like her mental health struggles that she's been having. And this isn't funny, but like all I could do is laugh. Like Michaela's like, I don't know like how I feel about the whole like public crying in a video thing. It's like, what? Okay.
That's what you have to say about
Yeah.
that?
None of them were
That's
like,
so mean.
yeah. None of them were like, oh my God, I can't believe that we didn't know. How could we not have supported her? What are we going to do now? No, it was like, I don't know how to feel about this.
That's what I'm saying. So much of it is so off-putting because they pretty like horrific things are happening. And it was like the first episode we find out Michaela's like, so when I was 16, I got pregnant and my boyfriend, now husband, he was 21. And I was like, we're going to come back to that, right? That's illegal and really gross. And that was a child within we're going to circle. Like, that's what her storyline is about, like, how awful this was. And they're divorcing. And we didn't circle back around. I'm at the end of season 1. We didn't.
Oh, no,
we
it
did
doesn't.
not.
It doesn't circle back around. The only thing they talk about in season 2 is her doing trauma therapy. But they don't really go
Which
into
is
it.
good. Like someone goes, they won't drink, but they'll do ketamine. I'm like, it's therapy. I don't give a shit. Drink if you want to. We all got to sit down collectively. And, like, it was, like, one thing after another. The relationship between Dakota and Taylor, I was like, oh, my God. And then they, like, showed a clip of Taylor's family talking to her for season 2. I saw it on TikTok, and I'm like, her parents were like, well, you had sex with him or something like that.
Yeah,
and I was like, are you joking?
That was bad. Her dad was like, well, you're mad at him because he was dating someone else and he was on a date with some other girl and then he came and slept with you that night. What does that say about you?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well,
Like,
okay.
Taylor's the, like, was, like, the face of the mom talk and the show. She came out and was like, me and my husband are divorcing because we were at a swinging party or whatever. I don't know. And I, like, went over the line with the swinging. Okay. Like, swing if you want, babe, you know? But it's the way that specifically, I don't know that I've really met other people's parents or that we have, that her parents talk to her and to their family in general. It's like, why do you consistently embarrass us? Or why are you doing this to us? Because she, like, is pregnant. And everything was like, Taylor's going through it. And, like, you might not support your child's decision, but to sit there and be like, this is a direct reflection of us and that you're embarrassing us. And she's like 28, 30 or something like that. I'm like, are you kidding?
I think it's like the classic Mormon, like, outlook of, like, your kids are a reflection of you. You're all supposed to follow the rules and be, quote unquote, good Mormons and not deviate and not be outspoken women. That's the thing about Taylor. Like, I could say plenty of things that annoy me about Taylor or whatever, but at the end of the day, like, the bitch says what she
Yeah,
means,
yeah.
and I don't think that that's like an accepted trait within Mormonism for women to be like very outspoken, especially about things that like aren't popular. And I think that that's what her family finds embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because the other women, honestly, like aren't as, in my opinion, aren't as real as Taylor. They're still like
Yeah.
throwing in like, like prayers and God stuff and whatever, like in context that just like don't fit, that make it just seem like so contrived to me, where it's like their brand is being like a Mormon wife. Like, no, you're not.
Like,
come
and
on.
I think that's like, again, someone can be multifaceted, but it's like a reminder of like, oh shit, the TV show is called Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, so we have to make sure to add the Mormon in there. Where like, I think like the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, like, like sometimes it's in there. Like Meredith Marks got baptized, not baptized. What's it called?
Bat mitzvah.
Yeah. So like, like there's things that they put in there, right? But it's the caveat that like they're more than their religion or where they're living, right? And it seems to me like it's a reminder of coming back to that. And I think that like something that's not talked about, because I think it's so hush hush, right? Is like something that I'm working with several clients on now is this idea of like religious trauma is a huge part of it. And it's something that's like not talked about, that I feel like so many of them are actively going through. So many of them are actively going through.
Well, it's sort of like when we talked about Ruby Franke, right? When we talked about her kids like still being Mormon, which I think is so wild. But I think that speaks to this like deep-rooted religious trauma that like these shows might provide awareness for people that are going to be like, inquisitive or like try to like get down to like what's the significance. But ultimately, these aren't people coming on saying like, my upbringing, this like religious upbringing, traumatized me in this way or impacted me negatively in this way. And as a result, I'm now taking that experience and, putting it out there and learning from it's sort of just like, bloop.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's for likes, views, clicks.
Yeah, and I think that's what I was like kind of waiting for all season, was someone to be like, yeah, I have a relationship with my religion and church still, knowing that this and this has happened, but like I've made it work for me. And I've met several clients who like I try to meet them where they're at, right? That's my job. And so I'm like, what we're gonna do is like if you're still like wanting to interact with your religion or denomination, right? We do it in the healthiest way possible, or know that there's caveats, or know that there's it's a very nuanced thing. And I think that like that level was missing, because I'm like, I got to the episode where I'm like, oh, I think I'm pretty much done with the season, but the girls go on a girls trip to Vegas. And they go to a Chippendales show. And we pause at the show. So Jen Affleck is like, my husband will divorce me. He'll divorce me if I go to this. First of all, when like sister girlfriend, just looking at her husband, I'm like, I know he was like, I'm so mad at it because I'm so mad about this. You give me every detail. What was he wearing? How many abs? And how do they dance? Show me how they dance. And what did he look like, by the way? And give me his Instagram. And now leave the room for a minute. Like, I mean, it's like, baby, the calls come from inside the house. I know why you upset that she went to the Chippendales thing. But like, it was really, really wild to see someone shaking and crying. Oh, and Jason looks at me and goes, "Can I be honest with you?" And I said, "Yeah." My husband was like, I just would absolutely be like, okay. And I was like, yeah. He's like, because like one of the girls who was single, like newly single, was like putting oil on one of the Chippendales. And he was like, if you told me that, I'd be like, was he cute? Like he's like, I guess I don't get the big deal. I'm like, it's not even like that they went to see a stripper. This is a full-fledged production. Like, I'm pretty sure these guys are like equity. You know what I mean? Like they're like in SAG or something. Like,
yeah.
Are you okay? Like,
Well, you know, Vinny from Jersey Shore does
right.
Chippendales.
Like, it's
he's a
yeah,
performer.
it's a Vegas show.
Mm-hmm.
It's a complete, like, structured show that you're watching, and like,
They probably get paid more than the Mormon
oh my
wives.
God, they're actors, they're
Compare
performers, they're
endorsement deals,
dancers,
man.
right? And all gay. Most of the Chippendales, like when they were talking and stuff like that, and like I was like, okay, like these are they're dancers. They're probably all like ballet trained and stuff like that, or whatever. Like, but like, one, Jen, right?
Yeah.
Jen didn't know they were going to that. She gets there immediately. Is like, oh my God, he's gonna divorce me. Is shaking, crying, calling him, and I'm like, first of all, if he was upset about that, like, okay, like maybe that's like. That's fine. Maybe that is something that you guys both mutually like. Maybe she wouldn't like if he went to a Chippendale Luz.
Right.
I don't know. So maybe that's something they've decided. But she didn't know they were going. And so I'm like, this is wild to get so worked up and to be that fearful because she was like, well, the church wouldn't approve of this. Well, baby, the church wouldn't approve of you saying fuck either. The church wouldn't approve of like half the things that are happening.
Anyone drinking.
Yeah. Like, you're also like, in my opinion, like, well, I don't know actually because they rank their sins because they were like having sex is as bad as murder. I'm like serial killer over here, you know.
Right.
But I was like, this is, yeah. Like I think it went from like I was like, aha, this is so silly. Like we haven't talked about the extensions.
Oh God.
The jizz hair.
I,
Jess is it Jess that does the hair? Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
Made a Instagram carousel thingy that was like, if I would have listened to my haters at 16 saying I couldn't do hair, and the next one was like, I wouldn't be doing this and this, and I'm like, maybe you should have listened a little bit. Maybe because maybe if you humbled yourself then, it would have looked better. Because one of the girls had like a full Velcro extension hanging out.
I can't.
And I was like, and I'm looking at some of these things, like maybe, and I thought to myself, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe their husbands aren't gay. Because if I was your husband, I'm gonna tell you, baby girl, you gotta go fix that. You're the makeup not blended, the hair fucked. It's a little wild to me. I was like, oh, okay, jizz hair the first day, the first 20 minutes of the show.
For me, I just like can't get past it. It's just like giving like famous for being famous vibes.
Oh,
like
100%
very
is.
like and I don't even want to insult like Paris Hilton and Kim Kardashian because they like built this giant brand, but I feel like it's very like early days. Like,
100%.
Where they're just like popular for being popular.
Yeah.
And like my problem with that is like, I think there is something to be said for if there are other Mormon wives that are like, oh, look at this group of women that is breaking from this, like patriarchal stereotype of marriage and having their own stuff and whatever. If that like helps other women do that, that's great. But I think it needs to be said then that like that is deviating from the norms of the Mormon religion. So I don't think we can say, like, Mormonism can continue to exist while all of these women defy the patriarchy upon which Mormonism is founded. Right? So, like, we either need to say, like, this is a deviation from the religion and it's necessary because otherwise we are in this sort of, like, oppressed state.
Yeah.
You can't have both. Like you have to be able to speak out against the religion and say this is not okay.
And then make those change. Like, not that these women specifically have to be the ones to do that, but like you're right. Like they're sitting there saying like, hey, this isn't working for us or this isn't okay. Which is why the church changed their point of views on people of color, right? 100%. Like people were like, hey, baby, this is pretty fucked, right? And that tells me that there is an ability to continue to make progressive changes, and you're choosing not to. Because if it were like, this is what we think, this is what we believe, and then, if there's a church in wherever that's like, hey, we agree with you, so now we are going to put those views into place here, right? That's what so many religions out there do. They grow with the Pope and such, like, right? Like, that's, well, I don't know about this one.
No, I checked. This one's not as progressive. I was like,
Listen,
oh, going back to hating the gays.
he's,
It's fine.
it's like,
Whatever.
you know, 2 steps forward or 1 step, I don't know. He's from Chicago, right?
Yeah.
We should have known with an American
No, I
president.
think he was at Villanova.
He went to Villanova.
Yeah.
I think he was born and raised in Chicago, and then went to the Philadelphia.
Went to the Philadelphia.
The Philadelphia, and then now the Vatican. But it's like, baby, how are you? The 2 cities you grew up in, Chicago and Philadelphia, and I've been around both, you know, like, grew up in northern Indiana, went to Chicago every weekend. How are you going to be homophobic?
You're Catholic, man. What can I say?
know.
That's the thing. Like, when you look at, because I grew up Catholic, I went to Catholic school until I went to college. And if I compare, like, Catholicism with Mormonism, there are, like, the basic things involving, like, homosexuality, for example. I think the views are the same, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, religiously.
Correct.
I think the difference for me is, like, Mormonism seems more, like, cultural than Catholicism is, at least, like, now. And maybe it's because, like, geographically that, like, you know.
Well, I think it is
know.
I think both are cultural. I think the difference is when it becomes cultural, in a sense, I feel like then there's more change made. Do you know how many Catholic churches are like, we love the gays? I don't know what's going on up at the head of it, but, like, baby, you come in here, right? Like, I think that's the difference. I haven't heard of that so much with Mormon churches, which is weird because I know Mormons who are like, oh, we don't go to, does it call it church? I'm thinking, church. We don't go. We still practice, but, like, we take what we want from our faith, and we take what we know is right in our personal life and socially. And if our church conflicts with that, then we're taking our faith elsewhere. And I think. That's I get looking at a religion or a faith and saying, like, there's things in here that I really enjoy that aren't harmful, and there's things that are harmful, and so I can't practice in the same way. I have to find my own way to practice, and I think that's how we've gotten, you know, super feminist Catholics and stuff like that, and like, I mean, I grew up Mennonite, right, and I grew up what I call Quaker liberal Mennonite, and I feel like people would be like, well, that's not possible. It is. Like, I mean, we were not the bonnet wearing.
Right.
So I think that.
But I think then it's the question of, like, how are we then, like, supporting the religion, right?
Correct.
So, like, if you go to either a Catholic church or a Mormon church, say, and you're giving a percentage of your income to a church that then utilizes those funds to fuel political agendas that
100%.
oppress people, then I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
And we know that happens in the Mormon church. I'm sure it happens in the Catholic church.
Oh, yeah.
So I do think that, like, taking what you value and helps you, like, identify and whatever from a religion is okay. I don't think that, like, closing your eyes and saying, like, oh, these are the things I don't like about it, but I'm still going to be part of this church and give money to it and fund it and allow it to continue.
That's true. Like, because I think that's, again, a huge reason why, like, watching, like, The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, like, Whitney in it, without, like, she left the church and like, officially, like, wrote her name down and left it. Like, because, it's like, I can't be, is it a
Tithing?
Tithing? Like, whatever
10%.
percentage. Yeah. That's hard, right? Like, I'm very weird about how, not weird. Yeah, weird about, like, where I spend my money and how I spend it, and, like, making sure that, like, I can't let it be, if I know this company's donating to this and this, like, I feel very oddly, like, personally responsible, you know? And I think that was, like, and you know, we've talked about it several times, I think, with Mormonism, and honestly, it's probably because Mormonism is new, like, it's, you know, but like you said, we can see this in Catholicism and different. I think the difference though, is that besides, no, Sister Rose was Mormon. We've had so many TV shows about Mormonism.
So many.
And we haven't had, like, Catholic secret wife stuff. You know what I mean? And I think it's because of the way the religion gives them, like, perfectionism. And I've never seen a TV show or documentary or read anything about Mormonism that didn't talk about the core value is each member finding perfectionism.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's to be our best self is so different than like having to, because what that gives way to is abuse
Mm-hmm.
and sexual abuse and volatile marriages, because they're like, well, you just don't divorce them. And
Mm-hmm.
with the way some of these men are talking to their wives, oh, Jason wouldn't have a shoe to shit in.
Mm-hmm.
I would take everything, like, and I think that's the thing that's like, that's the disconnect. We are moms.
Mm-hmm.
We are about femininity. We're talking about women and feminism and this and this, and then simultaneously going into these relationships where their spouses are screaming at them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, I've only seen season. I cannot believe I'm about to say this. Only seen season 1, but like, I felt like Connor and Whitney were the least problematic couple, and he was cheating on her
Mm-hmm.
on Tinder.
Mm-hmm.
Which sounds like a good point. They said so. Whitney was denying that Connor, her husband,
Mm-hmm.
was on a dating site.
Uh-huh.
And like, well, there were pictures of him like from a long time ago, and someone like blah blah blah. And her big secret was that he was on the site, and she didn't want to admit it.
Mm-hmm.
And someone goes, "I thought it was Grindr," and I was like, "Okay, because he's gay." And they said, "No, because you can't send pictures on Tinder." And the whole thing was that he was on Tinder sending photos back and forth, and like, you can't send photos like that on Tinder. I don't know. I don't have the Tinder.
I don't remember.
I don't know. I was like,
I feel like I've reached a great point in my life where I don't remember when I was on Tinder. That's like I've made it.
Did I tell you on the podcast my Tinder story?
I don't know. What is it?
So before I met Jason, my friend Ashley and I both went through a breakup at the same time, almost. And so we were like, how do we heal and be single and all that stuff? And so
you were like Tinder?
So we're like, well, we had no idea. I'd never been on a dating site.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd been on like Grindr or something, but I'd never been on like Grindr's dating site. And so this was 11 years ago, 12 years ago. We both got Tinder,
Mm-hmm.
and in Northern Indiana. And so she was like, "Oh my God, I have like 800 likes and stuff." She's like constantly, like every time she would swipe right. Right's a good one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Swipe right and match. She would not swipe right and it didn't match.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going through mine, and every time I'm swiping right, it doesn't match, right? And I was like, that's weird. And then after like a day or two, I have like maybe a match, and I'm like, something is like wrong. And so I'm on the phone. She's like, "Can we call him like Tinder?" She's like, "What do you mean you're calling Tinder?" I'm like, "Well, I'm calling their help team because I think my Tinder is broken because like I haven't had a single match yet."
Oh my God.
It was not broken.
Oh my God.
I was mortified. I was like, "Wait, you have like 800 plus. We've been on this for like 3 days. I don't even know if I had one." And I was like, "Cool, I'm deleting Tinder. I'm never get on this again. It was a lie. It was a joke." I think that my phone was broken. It probably was broken.
Probably. It probably was broken. You probably were searching for the wrong people.
I was. I think I was. Yeah. I think that's what it was.
Maybe you had it that you were like straight, so like the gays couldn't find you.
Yeah, that's what it was. And
Yeah.
for some reason, I was still seeing men on. I don't know. I was.
I believe it
mortified.
was broken for you.
I choose to believe in the conspiracy theory that it was broke, and only for me. Everyone else's seemed to work fine. So triggered when she was like, Connor was on Tinder talking to these girls. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm glad Connor got matches. Wow, that's super offensive. It was, and he served looks all season. I genuinely did not know he was the same person because he would start out with this blonde hair, roots, and dark. And then it went from there to bald. And then I guess he got a hair transplant. And then it went from like that to like a very like Ken doll part. And then silked back like this. And then wore a pink Pro Bass Pro. You know, the
Bass Pro Shops?
Yeah, like that pink to the farm. The farm that we'll be working on soon. I was like, he served more looks than any of these ladies. And good for him. honestly.
Good for him.
But the fact that the guy who cheated on his wife on the Tinder, they had probably the healthier relationship and better communication than any of the other ones. I'm like, wild.
You know, I feel like the mental health that they showed on the show, like, I just feel like it could have been a more prominent topic that was addressed.
They all
You know
have
what I
mental health
mean?
issues, absolutely.
Yeah. And like, this is the kind of therapy. Oh, the ketamine thing. I wanted to go back to that. So they mentioned it many times during season 2. Like, many times. And we're like, oh, the church's feelings on ketamine, whatever. Now, ketamine is an evidence-based treatment, right?
100%.
However, we know that ketamine is most effective in the in-between sessions because it increases neuroplasticity. So any therapy, intervention, skills, whatever that you learn in between sessions is really where you get the effect. But that's not what's portrayed on the show. There's no like, we're working in between these sessions in therapy, you know, on these things. It's like, we go get ketamine. Like, ketamine doesn't fix it. Ketamine's a tool.
And ketamine definitely doesn't fix it if you're not getting therapy in between and actively talking about and through things. Because it is an incredibly effective treatment, especially for people who have, drug-resistant
Depression, trauma,
right?
PTSD.
Yeah, like, it's great. And I think that probably one, if not the biggest issue I had, is there was so much talk of mental health, you know, and even more so in season 2, I guess, with Jen and her depression, and just watching Taylor go through an incredibly abusive relationship with Dakota. And I'm not talking, I mean, it did get physical between them, but like, not just that, like, just emotional gaslighting, controlling. Jen in the same kind of situation with her. I mean, thank God that they took a break apparently before season, but just seeing so much toxicity in relationships and within their own self of like a lot of like Whitney, you know, no matter what way you want to look at Whitney and stuff like that was a toxic friendship for her because she was acting in a way that she felt compromised how she wanted to have friendships, right? And I would have thought that there would be more therapeutic talk of like,
that's
and like you said, they talked about ketamine. Well, did they go into detail on what that means?
Not at all.
Why they do it, the in-betweens, right? Because that's an opportunity to sit there and be like, yeah, like, hey, again, this is great for us.
Tell me what you think about this. So this was season 2. They showed Michaela in her trauma therapy, right? And the therapist asked her to talk to her abuser and say like what she would have wanted to say to the abuser, like curse at him or whatever. And I'm sitting there thinking like, it's very interesting to me that this is the one like clip of therapy that they're showing because that can be a useful tool. But there's like a lot that goes in like before and after that.
A whole lot that goes in before that.
And it just left me feeling like it kind of made it seem like if you're just like, well, fuck you for abusing me, like, you know, like that's going to heal something. Like that, you know, like in and of itself, that moment. And I don't know. I didn't love it.
There's a lot that goes in before you do like a role play type or narrative type therapy like that.
Or like psychodrama.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, a lot that has to happen before that because you also have to make sure the client's in like a good enough space to do that because I've seen like when we did like demonstrations or during my internship, like people go to that and it's like sometimes hard for that person to snap out that like, hey, this isn't obviously like I don't know that. Like sometimes you dissociate and you're like the trauma's significant enough that's like this isn't the actual person. They're not hearing this.
Right.
I'm glad that they showed some type of therapy and someone going through it, but at the same time,
And after that moment, the therapist was like, so how do you feel now? Do you feel better? And I was like, and there wasn't they didn't show like any containment afterward. Yeah. And so my issue with that is I'm very opinionated about trauma therapy, specifically like separating out complex trauma versus like single traumas. Yeah. And when I say single trauma, I mean like say you were deployed overseas and you watched one of your friends die.
That's a single trauma.
Yeah, that's a single
There's
trauma.
other
versus
trauma
like,
around it, but this is the
exactly
root. Yeah.
right. Versus like repeated trauma of say like sexual abuse over a period of like
Correct.
6 years
Correct.
or something like that. And so I think that particularly with complex trauma that's repeated over years, decades, even like months, whatever, that when you start to do therapy, you open a box that you can't close.
Correct.
So you have to be ready to open the box. But also at the end of a session, you have to at least close the box enough that you're not going to dysregulate the person
Correct.
until your next session.
Right.
So it can't just be like you talk about blah, 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 and then you're like, oh, okay, see you next
done.
week. And then that's when the person...
It's equivalent to like when you open, like when you put a shut a box, but you do like the four corner thingy where you fold it. It's like that. It's like if we have to reopen it, we can, but we're not taping it shut, putting it in a lockbox, and then throwing it at the bottom
And
of
it
the
never
ocean.
looks the way it did when you first took it out. Yeah.
I also have never and will never at the end of a session say, "Do you feel better?" I only ask like, "How are we feeling? Do we feel okay?" Because I just need to know that like. I've always said I don't want someone to come into a session feeling worse than before. And what I mean by worse is like we might be raw, we might be emotional, we might be heavy, we might be all these things, but we're not genuinely more depressed or like, than we were when we came. And I feel like that's a huge thing. Like you're right with complex trauma is that like we're not going to feel better after a session. If you do, that's fantastic. But after a session, a difficult session with complex trauma, that we're just like, are we doing okay? While it might feel like, every nerve is exposed in our body right now, do we feel like we're at least safe enough and can put it away for the week? And that's why I'm always like, especially with my CPTSD clients, I'm like, we have a crisis plan, but if you enact the entire crisis plan, you're still not feeling great, please call me. Like, call or text, right? Because like, some of the stuff is like things that they're in their 50s and 60s, and it was 30 years of this, and they're just not realizing, oh my God, how do I open this up? And I think also the thing is when we're dealing with complex trauma, that is not, it means that we are aware of the complexity and the several things have happened and several traumas have happened. And it also doesn't mean that in 20 years of this complex trauma, you have to sit there and bring up and look at and discuss everything of 20 years. It means that there might be things that, if there was physical abuse, we will look at a few times at that. Not even a few, we'll look as much as you want. But to heal does not mean you have to go through every single instance for 20 years and do that healing, right? And I think that's missed.
And I don't want to like critique the therapist because I truly have no idea anything about her. But what I'm saying is what the show chose to include, I think, is what I find to be problematic. And there wasn't a lot of like, I actually think that Bravo does like a pretty good job at showing like accurate mental health stuff, or at least like evidence-based, maybe like with Mary and her son, like this past season, I thought they did a great job with that.
One of the best, what's it called, showcases of addiction and what it means to love someone through that addiction. If chef kiss, that was beautiful.
And the way that the women handled it,
Absolutely.
I thought was great. But I do think there is something to be said for the age difference between the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, where Michaela's like 23 or 24.
Yeah, they're babies.
And like what, like Meredith and Lisa
40s,
or what,
50s,
like
yeah.
So there, I think that difference does matter. But I do think that given these women have this platform now, and they're saying like we're Mormon wives. Like, I think you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility to discuss openly, like, the significance of these things that you're bringing up.
Oh, 1,000%.
And if you're going to put your whole life on blast, then I think the mental health topics that you talk about, you have a responsibility to talk about them in an evidence-based way.
And I agree with that. I think that, again, we have to remember this is a production, right? There's no writers of reality, but the producers. The producers write the show, and that they probably wanted to for Michaela like let's show therapy, but like tied up in a way that like gives hope or whatever. But like, I think in that it can invalidate, and sometimes it'd be more validating to be like, how are you feeling? It's a lot, I know, but you know, we'll continue to do the work. And so if today we don't feel fine or good or better, next session we'll be working closer to that. I just think it gives like a little bit of a false hope of like, it's just one session.
Mm-hmm.
Or when I get to that session where I'm like talking to my abuser, then I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and again, it's one of those things like I'm glad, I can't wait to get to that episode. I'm glad that they showed that. It's just like there needs to be like a yes and after of like a continual. And you're right. Someone put this on social media, that if you are platformed in any way,
Mm-hmm.
you actually owe it to your audience to tell them your point of view on stuff, and like on politics and everything, and because I feel that because kind of like the women are given to the Mormon church and want to know where their money's going. People monetize me, right? Like if they watch one of my videos, it's not a whole lot of money, but it's money, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
they have listened to the podcast, or they bought the nail polish brand, whatever it is. And so I feel if they're contributing and supporting me, I feel like it would be shitty to be like, this is where I stand politically and this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
That was the other thing I found out. There was someone that deep dived, and they said that Layla and Miranda
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
were the only liberal women. Everyone else was a Trumper. Was MAGA.
No.
I swear to God, that's what Layla had mentioned.
Like
everyone else
openly.
So then there's like a TikTok account where the whole TikTok account is based on like finding your favorite reality TV shows and figuring out the people's politics,
How they're
because
registered.
they're again, you're platformed and people are giving you money by view, right? People don't realize that like if you're not some people are handing money over, but your views of watching someone's video, if they're monetized, you're giving them money. Like you're giving them support. That's why if I don't like Casey Anthony, like she doesn't post anything, but like I was like, oh, I'm blocking her because like I don't want to come across something, and if she's monetized, I don't think she can be monetized, but whatever, because I don't want to even inadvertently give money to that. And Layla apparently had made a comment that her and Miranda were the only liberal women and the rest of them were MAGA. And so this account was going through, and they said like I think Whitney was ambiguous, like didn't follow any political accounts. But then the other ones, they were like looking through like who they follow. I do that.
I'll check and
I check
see like
everyone's.
if someone's like how they registered to vote, because usually that's public record.
Yeah.
So
Even then, because I know so many people who like have registered Republican that always vote Democrat to like fuck with the system, or because like in Indiana in some races, at least when I was like in high school, I don't know if it's different now, everyone ran as a Republican because you couldn't win as a Democrat. So it was like a Republican who was a Democrat. And if you like went back and looked, it's like you voted a Democrat that's 100% a Republican. There's nothing about them that was, or voted a Republican that was 100% Democrat. I like to go through their Instagram and see who they follow, because TikTok you can hide who you follow. Instagram you can't. Anytime. So I already kind of did that with most of the girls, but
I mean, it would make sense that Mormons are
they're Mormon women in Utah.
Republican. Yeah, like
100%.
I wouldn't expect them to be anything else. But then also I don't expect you to be purporting yourself to be a liberal feminist woman and then going and voting for Donald Trump.
It doesn't make sense.
Like that's not okay with me, and I want to know what company is paying you more than your husband's annual salary for one brand deal.
Like a sex toy
because I
company.
think that we should have a talk with them,
Right.
if that's the case.
It's because, like, again, because 100%, they're also giving you money. Like, the only company I'm supporting right now is Ben and Jerry's. Ben and
Listen.
Jerry's. They're liberal as fuck. Ben scared the shit out of RFK at a congressional session the other day, and it made me laugh. And I was like, I knew I fucked with their ice cream. I knew I fucked with their ice cream. I knew I loved them. The only threesome I want to be in is with Ben and Jerry.
And the only company I support is this conquering
Oh
company.
my God. And she's the woman is so sweet too. If you guys don't have these, this is not a like ad. It has been a lifesaver. It is these rings. They're like,
my wife hates being around us because of them.
one of the first times we were recording, I literally remember you were in here and you were like, right away, you're like, so, and I was like, Amber, you can't be clicking that. No, one of my stems is I constantly cracking my fingers. And so I was in a session like a month ago and I was like just constantly doing this. And then when they're done cracking, I was doing it again. And then I sat there and was like, this client's talking about some pretty significant trauma. And I'm just like, for like 25 minutes. And I was like, huh. And then I was like, oh, I have a bunch of these rings. And I ordered a bunch of the spinny thingies. And so I'm sitting there, and I was just doing this instead, and it was way less discreet, it was more discreet than being like, and I was like, I apologize, by the way. The other week I was cracking my fingers, and he was like, it's okay. Like, I had noticed it, but I thought, oh, he's probably stimming. And I'm like, yeah, it's just a little inappropriate. We're talking about, like, some of the worst things that have happened to you. And I'm like,
yeah.
No, this is a company I fuck with. I love them.
Yeah.
Again, this isn't, they haven't paid us, but it's
one.
amazing. Mine has a B on
diamond.
it.
What is that?
It's a B.
Oh. Yeah.
And that's
I have these too. I have to wear two because I do it on
spin on both sides.
Yeah.
I had one it's a worry stone, so you can like put your thumbprint in it, and I clicked that one, and I have to get it.
Yeah. Do you have that one yet?
I have it. It's like a pinkish.
Oh
color,
yeah. I have. They sell out so fast.
Of those, I
have
know.
to. I signed up for like the alert me when it comes back in stock thing.
Get us.
Yeah. Well, she sent you all those ones that time we made the video.
Can you just like, I'll pay for it. Just send me all the worry stone ones that you have.
Yeah.
So I can play with them then. We did it. We like to a T.
Yes.
After randomly talking about our rings. Anyway, sorry, we got excited because we like hit the nail on the head with our counter. All this is to say is, I'm not specifically shitting on one religion. I'm just saying religious trauma exists, and I also am saying that if you're platformed, I think you owe it to your the people that are following you, your followers, your fans, whatever they're called, to be authentic and honest.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I'm going to have to continue watching this absolutely garbage trash show. I'm
I
talking
know.
about not wanting to not don't give your money and support with your views, Tal, but then I'm giving my money and supporting with my views of watching this. I'm a fucking hypocrite.
Well, I mean, I think it'll help inform, hopefully the videos that you put out about people being responsible with their platforms.
Mom talking.
Yeah, mom talking.
All the mom talk.
Yeah.
Let us know if you have a better idea of what mom talk is and if we got it wrong. And
Theratalk? Should we start
Theratalk.
that?
We're going to talk Theratalk and mom talk. We'll dance while talking about trauma.
Get Top Mom on Mom Talk.
Top
Theratalk.
Mom on Talk Mom and it's so many T's.
Too many talks.
Too many talks. Let us know. Like, subscribe, share, all those thingies. And who knows, after I see season 2, maybe we have to do even more talking.
update.
But
Yeah.
we'll see you next week.
Next week.
Bye.
Bye.